And there's some items here on the table in front of us. The Kentucky quilts.
This was the original Kentucky Quilts 1800 to 1900 book. That was from the first Kentucky Quilt Project in the 1980s that the exhibit traveled with the Smithsonian, and it was the genesis of the interest in documenting the quilts of states. The one in the middle goes along with the DVD, and it is the discussion guide. We wanted to create it so that it would be, the DVD would be like a book club. You don't have to watch it one after the other. You can watch them whenever you want. But when we started the guide, we wanted to do something where we could have it for 6 different audiences. So it's general audiences, quilting community, artists and arts organizations, academicians, you know. I mean, so basically there's a chapter on each one, so it starts the questions off.
And the last
And the
book
last
there?
one is Shelly Zegart, Passionate About Quilts, was a retrospective that was done by the KMAC.
Okay.
And it was in the late 90s. And so in there are a number of the articles that I wrote, the actual photographs of the quilts that were in the exhibition, all the history of the Quilt Index, which was part of the work of the Alliance for American Quilts at the time, and et cetera, et cetera.
And we'd be remiss if we didn't have a quilt here in the studio today with us.
Right.
Why this quilt?
So I don't have very many quilts anymore.
Okay.
There was a period of time when I was actually buying and selling quilts to so that I could pay for my not-for-profit habit, and I didn't have to go to my husband and have to ask for funds, and so that's how I did it. I bought and sold quilts, and we built a pretty incredible collection ourselves. And so the quilts that we kept for ourselves were in lieu of salary, you know, so I took no money from the business part, and all of it went, you know, anything that I had went into quilts. Those quilts were acquired by the Art Institute of Chicago. And in 2004, there was a major exhibition of the quilts, and I was speaking there, and I love to tell the story, so you can cut it off if you want, but that last night of the exhibition, we got to walk through the exhibition, just us, saying goodbye to our children, because they are like your children. You know, I had purchased them, they had stories to tell, and I had them, you know, I worked hard to get them published in different catalogs and exhibited in different museums, etc. So basically, once that was completed, I basically was no longer, I felt like I had provided the future for my children, you know, and that I was ready to stop really being active in the marketing of quilts. And so the quilt that's here is just a average, everyday bow tie quilt, but with a really interesting set because it has the little bow tie in each of the corner blocks. This quilt was the quilt that we take for, say somebody in the family has to go to the hospital. This quilt goes with us. So I'm not telling you anything more than that, but it's got a lot of family story in it.
That's beautiful.
We've
Thank
created
you for
our
sharing that.
own history with the quilt. We don't know the history of the quilt, but we've given it a new history.
That's beautiful. Thank you for sharing that with us.